Inspirational talk. Everyday people. Inspirational talk. Intentional choices. Inspirational talk. Extraordinary outcomes. It's Inspirational Talk with Toneal. Now here's your host, international award-winning author and filmmaker, Toneal M. Jackson.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another inspirational talk with Toneal. I am so excited to be back with you all one more time, having yet another guest. We say that we interview everyday people with extraordinary stories, making intentional choices to live their best lives. And today's guest is no different. I am so happy to be able to bring to you none other than Mr. Angelo Collazo. How are you, Angelo?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining me. And so, before we jump into your story, would you do me a favor and let everyone know, just give them a little bit of background of who you are? If someone was to say, "Who is Angelo?" how would you answer that question?
um, I live in upstate New York, Rochester, New York, which is like 8 hours away from New York City. People hear New York and they think New York City automatically. I am the co-founder of a charity. I started in memory of my first daughter, Allie Shea, which is named after the Allie Shea Project, who passed away after 5 weeks from a rare bone disease. And we do a lot of awareness events and fundraisers to help people with this disease, with this brittle bone disease.
So you are a father, you are a husband, and you are very passionate about this, we'll call it a disease, as you say. Now, I want to, before we jump right into the disease, I want for you, if you will, to just go a little bit into the story about your daughter, Allie. Tell us a little bit about who Allie was, about her disease, and her unfortunate demise.
Um, well, we were excited. We had to do in vitro fertilization, and that really had nothing to play into anything. It was just a freak mutation. Once I get into the story, um, at our 20-week ultrasound, we were kind of at odds. Of like, I wanted to know the sex of the baby. My wife didn't, so we kind of compromised. We had the tech write it down on a card, and we're gonna do it at our Christmas party, and announce it. But we're excited, like everybody would be. So I'm waiting, and then later that night, around a quarter to 11, we get a call, and I thought it was a telemarketer because they say, "Hey, is Kimberly available?" Because everybody calls my wife Kim. So I'm like, "Hey, it's late at night. She's asleep. Blah blah blah." And the guy goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. This is Dr. Klimek. I just wanted to go over some results." And I was like, "Oh," and it's like, "Why is her OB doctor calling so late
Yeah,
at night?"
yeah.
So I went into the room, woke her up, put the phone on speaker, and he was saying that he was going over the ultrasound and there's something off about it. And Allie's arms and legs were 4 weeks behind where the rest of her torso was, and her arms and legs were at 16 weeks, and her was measured at 16 weeks, and her torso was at 20. So he said, "I just want you to come back in a couple days to get another ultrasound because babies move around, and if there was just like one little movement, the whole calculations are off."
Hmm.
So we went back, and he did it personally, and we waited for the results, and he said it is confirmed. Her arms are not catching up; they're 4 weeks behind in growth. So he didn't know what was going on. So every 2 weeks, she had an ultrasound. My wife Kim, so they could track the baby's growth, and she was growing, but her arms, legs still were not catching up to her. So after about 3 weeks, he released us to a bigger hospital, Golisano Children's Hospital here. And every 2 weeks, my wife had an ultrasound, and every 2 weeks she saw a different doctor. And every 2 weeks we got a different diagnosis. And that was very frustrating because they didn't know what was going on. We had no answers whatsoever. And at one point, they were like, "Okay, at 36 weeks, 37 weeks, they're saying they're going to do a test to see if Allie was breathing her own. And then once she's born, they're going to induce my wife. And then once she's into the world, they can really look at her, see what's going on. Well, things didn't go as planned. Allie was going into stress. So they're like, okay, we're going to do an emergency C-section. And they did. And so, I'm nervous. Kim's nervous. This is our first kid. We know what was going on. So when she came out, I was looking at her and she looked normal to me. She looked like a normal baby. She was crying and everything. They're cleaning her up. And they took her away. And, we were like, oh, we're happy. We're expecting the worst. But it was about maybe 2-3 hours before we had anybody come in and tell us what's going on. And when that happened, that's when everything kind of went downhill. The doctors came in. There was like a team of doctors, nurses, a geneticist came in and explained that after looking at Allie, she has osteogenesis imperfecta type 2. And we're like, okay, what is that? And that's when he explained it's a genetic disease where the skeletal system is not correct. It's not right. The body is not producing collagen. And a person with OI bones are very, very fragile. Just a simple act of coughing too hard or sneezing too hard, walking, turn over bed, put on your clothes, you could cause a fracture. And they were telling us that type 2 was the most lethal. It was at the point where they didn't ask us if we wanted her baptized. They said, like, we could find you a chaplain tonight to get her baptized. They didn't think that she was going to make it. And then it really hit home when they showed us her x-rays. From the x-rays, she had broken ribs that was broken from in utero. Her legs were broken. Her arm and wrist was broken. Her skull, it looked like a cracked egg. And we didn't know what to do. I mean, we were just like expecting the worst, and they left us alone. And then a couple minutes later, nurse ran into the room. We thought this was going to be it. She passed away. They said she opened up her eyes. So we rushed out there, and she opened up her eyes, and we were looking at her, and she was fine. And like I said, we had her baptized, I think, that night. But she fought for 5 weeks. She was a strong fighter. But everything had to be different with her because of her breaks and how easy she was to be broken. We had a dedicated team of nurses and staff that worked with her. We had to put a sign up on her, literally a fragile handle with care. And we couldn't close her for the first few days because we couldn't move her arms or anything to put clothes on her. We had to find clothes that button or snap down the middle so we could just lift her up and lay her down. It took 2 people to do anything with her. To change her diaper, it took 2 people to do that. To feed her, it took 2 people to do that. We got to hold her, but we had to have cushions and pillows all between us. And the only time that we got to really hold her as parents should is the day that she was passing away. And the reason she passed away was CO2 poisoning. The palliative care nurse explained it to us that her ribs weren't fully developed. It was like bell shaped. So when she breathed out, she couldn't expel a lot of the CO2 gases. So she basically died from CO2 poisoning, which is a common death from babies who have OI, who lungs can't expand. So they let us take her outside, and it was a beautiful day. I remember it was a Thursday. We sat and held her until she passed away, and then I was talking to her like I wanted to, saying telling her about I'm a big Mets fan, the Washington Commanders now fan. Was talking about all that. I was telling her I was a protector. And today I know there's nothing I could have done, but that's my biggest regret is that I promised her that I would protect her and I couldn't do that. So when she passed away, we decided we're going to do something. And at the school district I work for, I do IT work. People know my story. And one of the science teachers wanted me to come in and talk about genetics. And one of the things I tell to the kids is when my daughter was dying in my arms, and I promised her that I would keep her fight alive, I had 2 choices. I could either, get a pint of Ben and Jerry's and just sit in a corner and cry and eat my life away, or I could do something about it. And I chose to do something about it. And this is going on 14 years, and we have been nonstop in our advocacy and keeping Allie's fight alive and trying to help people with OI. And one of the things we do is we send care packages all over the world to kids who have OI. No matter where they are, we'll send it to them, and we do everything in our own dime.
Wow. Whew, I wow. I just have to stop. First of all, I I commend you for being able to have the strength, you and your wife both, to have the strength to tell this story, because I can only imagine what that's like. I had a nephew who was 17 months old when he passed away, and I thought that was something. But I can't even imagine what you went through, and so I am so sorry for your loss. I
Thank you.
am I am so encouraged by your strength, because, as you said, there are a lot of times when people lose loved ones, especially children, because as a parent myself, we always say as parents that we should not bury our children should bury us.
Hmm.
And so to have the strength to continue this fight for her, to be her voice, I commend you for that. And um, you said that she was such a fighter. And I was telling you backstage, I said, well, she's an Aries. So that's what we do. My birthday is April 12th, hers is April 14th. And that's what we do. We don't know how to give up. And I'm sure she was such a fireball. And, we are definitely going to talk a little bit more about OI. But before we do, let's let the people know that you actually have another daughter as well. So why don't you talk to us about her, and did she have any of the same symptoms as Allie? Like, is everything like, just tell us a little bit about your other daughter as well.
My second daughter name is Ella, which is Allie spelled backwards.
Okay.
Um, like I said, we did IVF for Ella, and we had to do for Allie too, or excuse me, for Allie, we had to do for Ella too. And the most amazing thing about that is the doctor who did the IVF for Ella, or excuse me, Allie, didn't know any of this happened. All of a sudden, he called us one day and he was like, "Kim and Angelo, what's going on? I'm getting all these reports or requests for records." And we told him what happened. He goes, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And he goes, "If you want to try again," he goes, "I can't speak for the hospital fees and stuff, but I would not charge you." And we were like, wow. So we're like, we talked about it and we're like, yeah, let's try again. So it took, and once again, the 20-week ultrasound, we were like holding our breaths. And then they did the ultrasound. We waited um, for the results, and everything was fine. We found out it was a girl. Everything was perfect where it should be. And she's healthy. She's the total opposite of Allie. Allie had the black hair, like brown eyes. Ella is blonde hair, curly blonde hair like me. Because I'm mixed. I'm Puerto Rican and I'm African American. So so she has a curly hair, blue eyes, and she's 12 years old, going to be 13 this November. She's like a year and some months behind Allie.
Wow.
And we told her about her sister. We always tell her about her sister. But excuse me, or Ella, Ella is a up and coming actress. She wants to be on Broadway one day.
Awesome.
So actually, my wife is right now picking her up because she's doing her school musical tomorrow. So she loves to sing. Um, there's times where when she was smaller, she would draw a picture and she showed us, and it was like us, like mom, dad, Ella, and then there was somebody floating in the sky. And she was that's Allie, and I was like, oh. So um, We finally, after 14 years, we had to have Allie cremated because we couldn't get insurance on her because of pre-existing conditions.
Mm.
And there was a funeral home that for children they would do the ceremony, their cremation free. So we have her here, and Allie's theme is ladybugs. So we have a ladybug special box for her, and we finally told Ella about it, and and she took it pretty well. She said, "Can I hold the box?" I'm like, "Yes." And I have a picture of her holding the box, and she started talking to the box a little bit. So it was like that was good. It was very touching.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. This is like one of the most, oh my God, like most inspiring and touching stories ever. But if you guys are just now tuning in, I am interviewing Angelo Collazo. He is a husband, a father, an advocate, and he's been telling us the story of his daughter, Allie, who unfortunately passed away at only 5 weeks old from a very rare disease. And afterwards, he has now become an advocate. And so we're going to jump into what OI is, as well as what it is that he does, and most importantly, how you might be able to help. But if you would like to be a guest on Inspirational Talk with Toneal, please feel free to send an email to TonealJackson@yahoo.com. Maybe you have a story that you would like to share in the effort to inspire others, and we would love to have you as a guest. So again, feel free to send that email to neiljackson@yahoo.com. Now back to you, Angelo. We want to get a little more information about OI. Tell us a little bit more about not just the disease, but what it is that you do with the Ali Shea Project.
Well, OI is short for osteogenesis imperfecta, and it's a mouthful, so we just say OI. It is, like I said, it was a genetic brittle bone disease where the body doesn't produce enough collagen. And after doing my research about this, collagen is pretty much it's pretty much the glue that keeps us together. It's in your hair, your teeth, your eyes, everything. So a person with OI, there's like 18 types that really consider themselves are concerned about like 1 through 5. Like one is the least severe. A person with OI with type 1, everybody can live a normal life with this disease. But with type 1, you get, by the time you reach, say, 12, you can have either a couple breaks or you can have hundreds of breaks. And then the other ones, you could be wheelchair. Ellie was going to be wheelchair bound no matter what. Some people can have wheelchair bound. Some people are short in stature. Some people, because the collagen in your body is weak, could lose their sight at a certain point, lose their hearing. Their teeth are very soft, and the frustrating thing about that is that they can't get like implants or anything to help because it's considered cosmetic. Even though this is a proven disease that they have, they can't do it. They can't have any insurance won't cover them.
Wow.
Not too many doctors know about the disease. Point taken is that in one of our ultrasounds, my wife looked and said, like, "Hey, it looks like her leg is broken." And the doctor looks at the ultrasound. He goes, "Nah, there's no way. Babies are protected inside. It's just a shadow in the ultrasound." Comes out that her leg was actually broken. Um, a lot of people, they hear bone disease and they think, "Oh, just drink a lot of milk." We have people said that before. Drink a lot of milk, and the kids would get better. No, it's not that way. You're born with this. You're gonna have it for the rest of your life, and it is a frustrating disease because, like I said, some people can have a few breaks. Some people can have like hundreds of breaks by the time they're in their teens. Some kids have to have what they call rodding surgeries to keep their bones straight. Basically, they break the bones, put like a rod in the middle of their bones, and every once in a while they have to get it changed because they grow, and the rod sometimes telescope, but they can only go so far. Um, we try to educate the community about this. Um, I'm always willing to talk to people about it. When we have done like so many fundraisers, like over 20 or something. Actually, you can see hanging up there, we did a comedy show. We had a comedy show I call Cracking Up for Better Bones. to try to educate people on this. We had the comedian sign. It was a great thing. It was a great fundraiser. All the money that we raise goes directly to the OI Foundation, which is in Maryland, and they use the money to help for research and for grants to help people with OI. It is a very, like I said, it's a very frustrating disease because you could just roll over in bed and you could break your ribs, break your shoulder. You could just be walking and you could break something. So, like I said, not too many people understand the disease. And when I had to go around asking for donations for our fundraisers, I had to tell Allie's story over and over and over again so people could understand because they think you're scamming them because they haven't heard of this. So it's was very emotional draining when I got home because I had to tell and relive her story. I relive it all the time anyway, but just to talk to people about it
I'm sure.
and try to educate people on it. That's what we try to do. I mean, I have to be a salesman for this. I have to be one heck of a salesman for us to, for people to get donations. And when I used to give the talks in the schools, I like have people like, okay, how many people know somebody who have cancer? How many people know somebody who has autism or Down syndrome or something like that? Almost every hand goes up. When you say, "Oh, why?" You know, nothing. So I keep telling people this is what advocacy is. I have to advocate for myself. I have to advocate for Allie. I have to advocate for all the people who have OI, so people get better understanding. And so far, we've been doing a pretty good job of it for the past 14 years. Um, every year on Allie's birthday, we have a special fundraiser at a restaurant, Uno's Pizzeria Grill. Every year we have that. We bring a lot of business in for them. Um, we have raised over $80,000 over the past 14 years. And that's just what I know of. There's people who donate in our name, and we don't know how much that is, but at least I know from what we keep records of, we have raised over $80,000, and we're making a little difference. We have been on TV interviews, we have been on radio interviews. Um, we got recognized as one of the top fundraisers or volunteers for the OI Foundation our first year, and it's just been a whirlwind. I mean, we have been told we're very inspiring to people. We had people email us and leave voicemails saying how we inspire them and how our what we call snuggle buddies, the packages we send to the kids. They say like my kid, had this operation or they broke their legs and they couldn't do something over the summer, but when they got your package, it brought joy to them again. I haven't seen my kids smile like that in a while, and it's just amazing. We do have a website and I do have a Facebook page. It's Alley Shape Project. You look it up or Google it and you'll find it. And I have the stories out there too. And it's just so humbling when you hear people say, "My daughter was so sad, but when she got your package, she just lit up." It shows her that people care and people understand what she's going through.
Wow. Wow. It's a couple things. Like I have what comes to mind when you talk about this. I don't know if you saw the movie Unbreakable with
Yes.
Samuel L. Jackson, and
Hmm.
that's what comes to mind. And I don't know if that's what he had, if that was if
Yeah,
OI
that's what he had. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Because when you talk about it, that's exactly what comes to mind. I remember in the movie, and it's been years since I seen it, but this just goes to your credibility in even describing the disease because I remember him talking and sharing with the character that's played by Bruce Willis how many surgeries he had because he was also wheel bound because he was so fragile and
Hmm.
because he would break so easily. And, prior to you, I did not know that this was a real thing. I thought that this was just something that, the writer director had just, made up for the sake of entertainment, not that this was legitimately an issue. And so I can only imagine the obstacles that you face because like you say, so many times people are quick to assume that something they've never heard of is a scam. And so to have to go through, sharing the story, and I know you said that it's a family project almost is you, your wife, and your daughter. So how does that help to bring you all together? How does advocating on behalf of Allie, how does that help to bring you all together?
Because we're doing something for her big sissy. we're doing something as a family. Other families have other activities, and this is our activity. This is actually, to me, my way of healing, of grieving, and it brings us closer together when we talk about Allie. I mean, we have our trips like every family does, but when it comes to talking about OI or um, talking about Allie's story, and I keep saying it's Allie's story, it's not mine. It's all about Allie. Um, it brings us a little bit closer together because even though Ella never met Allie, she feels the loss,
Mm-hmm.
and that brings us closer. And it's when it gets time for us to have one of our fundraisers or anything like that, it's just we start Kim and I starts reminiscing, and Ella will come over and hug us. She's a very gentle soul, and she'll come over and give us a hug. And I think it brings us a little closer together when we start talking about this. And one other thing I want to mention before I forget, child abuse. People, you don't look for OI, and a baby can be born, and you don't know she had or he or she has OI. And when you take the kid home, you do everything like you should do as a parent, changing diapers, burping, but you're causing harm. You take the baby to the ED after a couple times, and they think you're doing, you
Yeah.
know,
Oh my God. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
there are stories out there where people had their kids taken away from them, every kid in the house, because they go back, they see the X-rays, and it's like this. He has their ribs are healing, their arm is healing, their collarbone is healing. This baby had a break, and you got to try to prove that you're not
You
beating
didn't
your
do
child.
it. Oh my.
So people have spent thousands of dollars to find lawyers. First of all, you got to find a lawyer who's familiar with this, and try to prove that you're not beating your baby. And the worst part about this whole thing is when the babies or the babies that are in or children in foster care, they still break. So that's one of the things too. We try to, we always mention it's like, you know, it's that itself could cause tension between parents because when you're away, it's like your baby's breaking while you're not home. So that you think, what is this person doing to my child, and vice versa. So it's not like other diseases out there, you know. Um, if you don't know you have it and you keep breaking, or you lost your kids because of it, and you can't prove that you are not doing it, you can't prove that your child has a disease because you don't know about it. That's why I want to try to educate the community and people, and try to get hospitals on board about this. Next week is OI Awareness Week, May 6th to the 13th. And I always try to get the hospitals like, hey, I know you really can't, but I would just love you to try. Just mention something on your board about OI, just mention something about it, and I haven't been too successful with that, but I don't give up. I do not give up.
Mm. Well, you know what? We're definitely gonna try to also help to promote it. And so, like, I'm sure you all have some type of promotions that you do or stories that you tell or something during that week. And so please, tag me on that, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram. And because I'm all about educating and empowering. That is the name of my business, is educated and empowered. And so it is so important that we spread messages like this because people don't know. And, whatever you don't know, you can't overcome. And like you say, it could be parents who are not bad parents, but they are being penalized. So it's like they're being abused twice because, first of all, they're having to, have their child taken away from them. And then to have the lies, the perceptions out there that, oh, I'm an abusive parent, I'm beating my child, and they're actually innocent. I can't even. Oh my goodness! When you say, as you were telling that story, I could see it happening. I'm like, oh my goodness,
It gets
that's
worse though,
oh my
because
goodness.
there's stories where people find out a person has OI, their child has OI. It's like, why did you do that? Why are you gonna? This baby's gonna have a hard life. Why are you doing this? You're a bad parent for not aborting this baby because it's just like that mindset. It's like you're a parent. You're gonna take care of your kid no matter what. You
Mm,
know, and when we were trying again, and the doctors gave all of our options, like if this baby has OI, if it happens again, which was with us the first time was just a freak mutation because, like I said, it was a genetic disease. It was just a freak gene mutation that happened, and we're like, if it happens again, we're still gonna love the baby no matter what because it's gonna be our baby, And I just can't think of. It just hurts when people say like you should not have had your child. You're selfish, and sometimes people are told in the doctor's offices, "Oh, you should abort this baby." There's a one lady that we met who was told that, and she saw our story, and it gave her. She said it gave her hope, and she has a baby who has OI, but she has a healthy baby that she loves, and I see pictures of them all the time.
That is incredible, because you said a mouthful when you said, as a parent, you're gonna love your child no matter what. We see past any type of birth defect, any type of disease, any type, like, that's our child no
Hmm.
matter what. And so I 100% applaud you, your wife, the fact that you did not allow this to get the best of you. Truly, when I say, with Inspirational Talk, interviewing everyday people with extraordinary stories, this is probably one of the most extraordinary stories that I've heard.
Thank you.
And, for you to have, again, the courage to go forward with not just telling the story, but advocating on her behalf. And so, with the Ali Shay Project, if someone wanted to donate to it, or how could they get involved and help you with this endeavor?
Well, I would say like uh, we're a charity in a sense that we help up, but we're not like official 501(c). So I always tell people if they want to donate money, if they want to donate to us, help us for the pack, sending out the packages, just for stamps, that's fine. But if they want to donate in our name, they could go to the OI Foundation, www.oif.org, and they could donate directly there, so that that way they don't have to worry about like we're going to use the money for something else. I keep telling people I'm not going to do anything bad because that would drag my daughter's name into the mud, and I am not doing that. So I am straightforward with people. If they want to donate to me, great. But if they want to donate to the OI Foundation, know the money going directly to somebody, they could do that too. And the one thing I keep telling people, the main thing you could do for me is just spread the word, because you never know. You talking about, I heard this story about this family, or I heard about this disease, and you're out talking about it, and then somebody can hear that conversation. It's like, hey, I know somebody's going through that who just lost their kid. Word of mouth. That's what I tell people. That's the best thing you can do for awareness is just spread the word. I mean, donations and everything are great, but getting the word out there to me is the most important for something this rare.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you talked about the Snuggle Buddies. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that actually is? I know that you said it's something that you send to other children who suffer with OI, but can you tell us about what that actually consists of?
Well, that actually started when around Christmas time, about 7 years ago. They were doing a Toys for Tots, and I was like, do they have anything like that for kids with OI? So I looked into it, and they see anything about it. So I started it. I put out in some OI groups, like, hey, if you have a kid between the ages of like newborn to like say 14 or whatever, and if they are having a bad time with OI, they have a break, they're going through surgery, we're doing this thing called Snuggle Buddies, where we send like little stuffed animals to kids who have the disease, so they get, because a hospital as a kid could be a very frightening place.
Yeah.
So we put like little stuffed animals like beanie babies or little teddy bears, some toys. We do like a coloring book, crayons. We give them like an OI awareness bracelet. We give like little beach balls. I fill it up. I fill it up with anything for kids to play with. And then the kids will get the packages. Some people, they posted pictures or videos of them opening up the packages, and it's just the joy you see on the kids' faces.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
just
Yeah.
amazing. And so far, we sent 199 packages to 41 of the 50 states and 10 countries. We even sent them to a lot of to the UK, Germany, Brazil, Mexico, Australia, Canada. So yeah, we send them out all over the place, and it's just amazing. Like the feedback we get, it's just like nothing else. And we got a big donation of teddy bears and stickers and coloring books from this lady, Jennifer. She lives in Kansas City, and she has OI, and she heard my story, and she heard about what we do with Snuggle Buddies. And she works for a bank called UNB Bank,
Mhm.
and they have like this program. And so she said, I'm going to reach out to my higher ups and see if we could do this. do a collection for you guys. So a couple days later, she said, "Hey, I got approval, so I'm gonna put it out there, and we're gonna start collecting for you." And then she gave me updates like a week later, and she had like a lot of boxes full of stuff. And then about 2 weeks later, I think, 2 3 weeks later, um, I got a call from my wife at work, and she goes, "We just got a delivery from FedEx, and there's like 15 boxes of
Oh
stuff."
my
We had a collection about maybe 1,400 teddy bears and stuffed animals delivered to us. And I was like, wow. And then we other people started donating stuff, and a friend of ours was buying some for us, um, and they went to some place and they told us why they're doing this. And the lady went in the back and was like, "Here's some more." She just gave them to them. So I have a basement full of bins filled with teddy bears and all sorts of stuff. And people say, "Hey, I want to donate some more teddy bears to you," and I'm like, this is a good bad thing, but I don't have any more space to store them in. So I'm like, I thank you, but I was like, this is a good thing to have, but I'm sorry I can't take any more.
Wow, that is incredible. And what you're doing is incredible because here's the thing. Here it is. I'm sitting, you're in New York, I'm in Chicago, and we're saying how rare we think that it is. But that this just goes to show that even rare is a relative term because the fact that you have sent out so many, not just in the US, but
Hmm.
even in different countries. So that means, and I always say that I believe that we are more alike than we are different. So that goes to show that it's so many other people who are suffering with this disease. And just because you may not, like a person may not have heard about it, does not mean that someone isn't suffering from it. And so, again, Angelo, I want to just thank you for, first of all, taking the time to come on the show, but for continuing this work, not allowing your efforts to stop because of the passing of your daughter, and I'm sure she's looking down. I'm sure she's proud of you and her sister and her mom, just doing this and keeping her story alive. And so, we are just about coming to the end of the show, but are there any final remarks or encouraging words that you would like to leave with our listeners and our viewers on today?
I just want to say a couple of things. First of all, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Um, I'm in the room, Allie's right up there, actually. And I have an awareness band that I have not taken off. This, this, this is, I have not taken this off in like 14 years. Well, actually, this is my second one. The first one wore out like last year. So I put another one on, but I never take this off. You always find me. And when I go, this is going with me. And the message I want to tell people is that never give up. Um, Things may seem like really hard. I keep telling people trying to raise awareness of OI is like walking up a muddy hill in a pouring rain, but you eventually get there. You know, never give up, no matter the odds against you. If things look tough, I tell you, there's times where sometimes I want to give up, but then I get a compliment or a parent personal email me or send me a voice message, and that lights the fire again because I know I'm making a difference. No matter how small you or what you do, no matter how small it is, you will be making a difference for somebody's life. So never give up if you're fighting for something.
I love it. I love it because it rings true across the board, right? Like regardless of the what, the only way that you're going to get to your goal is if you keep going. You can't, regardless of the discouragement that you might get, regardless of the people who may not support, regardless how frustrating it may be, you have to find a way to keep on going. And so thank you so much, Angelo, for coming on the show, sharing your story. I so appreciate you. And I'm sure all of those who are watching, they appreciate you and your transparency as well. And so we wish you nothing but the best. And so, for all of you who tuned in, I definitely want to say thank you so much for watching. And again, I want to remind you that if you would like to be a guest on Inspirational Talk with Toneal, then you can send an email to TonealJackson@yahoo.com. We are currently trying to get guests on. We're encouraging you if you want to share your story, because again, we are looking for everyday people. There are so many times when people feel like if they don't have a title, or if they're not, a celebrity, that means that they don't have a story to share. But look at what you just witnessed, what you just listened to. This was a father pouring out his heart about his story with his daughter, and beyond that, her story, her triumph, even though some people may not look at it that way because she passed away. But look at what the legacy is that she has left. It is the encouragement in his heart, in the mother's heart, and the sister's heart, to continue to go on and educate people, raise awareness about OI. And you may not have that exact story, but there may be something that you have endured and you want to share it with someone. So again, if you want to be a guest, then feel free to send that email to TonealJackson@yahoo.com, and we'll bring you on the show as well. And also, if you want to know more about me, because not only am I a host, but I do a variety of things: author, speaker, coach, filmmaker. If you want to know more about me, you want to have me to either come and speak at your event or facilitate your event, then make sure that you reach out to me. Go to my website, which is my name is Toneal.com, and you'll be able to not just learn more about what I do, but see how you can connect with me further. And then finally, if you've liked what you heard in listening to this show and you want to show your support, feel free to send a cash app to $ my name is Toneal. Again, we appreciate everything that you guys are doing. We love how you tune in to us. And we are just about wrapping up season 1 of Inspirational Talk with Toneal. And if you've missed some of those and you want to catch up, you can go to educatedandempowered.vhx.tv/inspirational talk. And I think it's Inspirational Talk with Toneal. But if you go to educatedandempowered.vhx.tv, you'll be able to see all of our previous shows. But I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. And be sure that you tune in next week, because we'll have another everyday person with an extraordinary story, telling us and sharing with us how she was able to make an intentional choice to be her best self. So be sure to tune in with us on next week. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And until next time, you all stay inspired.